What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. So based on the support that I've seen in yesterday's video, it seems like a lot of you guys care about crossover operators and events and things like that come into Call of Duty. Well, we actually have crossover operator updates that are going to be happening with the rest of BO6 as well as Black Ops 7. And today we're going to talk about that. There was an exclusive interview with Treyarch devs, so this information comes directly from them. If you do find the video informative or helpful at any point, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. But let's go ahead and jump into it. So first off, Call of Duty has been dropping early clips and snippets of Call of Duty Next over on Twitter. We've gotten 2 different 30-second clips showcasing gameplay footage of Black Ops 7. So it looks like they're doing a COD pod or some sort of a pre-recorded segment that they're going to showcase the full thing during Call of Duty Next, but we're getting snippets of them now. And you can see that they show like the M8 with the iron sight, the different weapons. There's also the new overload mode, which will be available and playable in the beta. And I believe they're going to continue tweeting things out like this, showcasing more and more footage of multiplayer as we get closer to the 30th, which is just under 48 hours away until they officially go live. Just want to let you guys know about that. Now, the second thing we have today is it looks like the PlayStation update has been added to the database. This is update 1.82. It's been added. It's updates featuring BO6 multiplayer shared content packs as well as for Warzone. This is a Call of Duty HQ update. PlayStation game size didn't mention if it's going to be for the Black Ops 6 Season 6 update or if it's for the Black Ops 7 beta, but regardless, Battle.net ended up getting it a couple days ago. It looks like PlayStation is now about to get this update, and it should be rolling out very soon for everyone. Just wanted to let you guys know about that and keep you guys updated. But the next thing I want to talk about, and the major topic we have for today, is the operators and crossover skins update that Call of Duty is doing. So Charlie Intel got an exclusive interview with Treyarch, and there's a couple of things that they talked about. First off, they talked about Black Ops 6 compared to BO7. So they said that they worry about players being fatigued by 2 Black Ops games back to back. I've seen a lot of comments of people talking about this to say, yo, I'm tired. We've already gotten Black Ops 6. This game is basically just going to be the same exact thing again for a whole second year. And some of you guys even stopped playing Black Ops 6, so you feel like the game is just going to be repetitive and is basically the same thing. Well, they said that's something that they've been worried about, and they've been making sure that the 2035 game and all the cool stuff that we're adding, the progression system, and all those things, we're absolutely going to bring in from a content perspective in our live season. So what they're saying here is that Black Ops 7 is going to be a completely different experience with all the new features, the futuristic stuff, and the year being 2035. And second off, you'll never get bored because they're going to add so much more in the seasonal updates and live post-season content than we have in Black Ops 6. And I feel like that is a big reason for why there is player fatigue when it comes to BO6. The events sucked, man. They were lackluster. We didn't get enough. There really weren't weekly challenges to do, and there wasn't anything to grind for. So it was just one of those things to where it was only fun for the first couple of months of BO6, and then it just went downhill and players stopped playing. Now, the next thing they were asked about is operators, crossovers, and skins that are going to be coming to Black Ops 7 versus what we saw with BO6. So it said, breaking, Treyarch confirmed to us in an exclusive interview they have canceled some big brand collab skins for Black Ops 7 after community feedback. These are opportunities that we had lined up that after some of our conversations, we straight up turned them down. Now, what they're talking about is crossovers, super big and obviously big name things. Maybe, for example, The Simpsons, Family Guy. I'm thinking things like that, maybe Rick and Morty, some big crossover like that that would be popular but just wouldn't make sense to bring to Call of Duty. For example, Beavis and Butthead, very popular. Ninja Turtles, very popular, but at the same time, when it was brought into Call of Duty, it got a lot of negative backlash and people weren't happy about that. So they said as a result from the backlash that they got during BO6 and with Beavis and Butthead and American Dad, they've actually canceled some similar upcoming crossovers, which in my opinion probably would have been something like Family Guy. Unfortunately, they don't tell us what these big crossovers were initially going to be, so we're just going to have to go down that rabbit hole of never knowing what it was and just guessing what the crossover could have potentially been. But what I can say is they did follow up with this with more information, so they're not completely canceling crossovers, but they're going to bring ones that make a little more sense for Call of Duty. Now, here's what I mean by that. They said Treyarch says that there could still be some cosmetics that probably push the bounds of Black Ops Identity and Black Ops 7, but with more consideration compared to Black Ops 6. So what they're saying here is they're going to continue bringing in some of these operator skins that we've seen in the store, some of the crossovers we've seen, but they're going to be a little bit more considerate on how wacky or unrealistic these bundles or crossovers would be. And then they said our intention is to stick to stuff that we can, hand on our heart, say, yeah, that feels Black Ops. Now, they did reiterate on this, and here's what they meant. So there's two things. First, there's unrealistic, and then the second, there is grounded. So being unrealistic, that's something that definitely will happen in the game, and they've compared it. For example, they said take a look at the Nuketown event pass. So like the mannequin skins coming in, that's obviously unrealistic, but it is still grounded. So it still fits the Black Ops theme. It still makes sense. They're tactical, and they could be added into Call of Duty and people really won't complain about them as much. And then there's unrealistic and then completely ungrounded, which is like Beavis and Butthead. And then they actually had a comment to say about that. And Treyarch directly told us that we won't be seeing things like Beavis and Butthead in Call of Duty anymore. So they're telling us that there's still going to be crossovers. We're still going to get some form of bundles and event passes. Most likely, they're still going to continue those because I'm guessing they sell really well. But the problem is they're just not going to be bringing in the weird stuff that is meant for like Fortnite instead of Call of Duty. So there are crossovers that could come to Call of Duty that are unrealistic but still grounded. For example, Halo makes sense. Doomslayer, that makes sense. We talked about Resident Evil. That's something that definitely makes sense and could come into the game, although obviously it's still a crossover. They could still have an event pass tied to it, bring a whole event. And something like Modern Warfare 3, although MW3 did have some wacky skins here and there, but a lot of the crossovers didn't get as much negative feedback. We had crossovers with Dune, we had crossovers with like Spawn, we had crossovers for like The Haunting. There was also The Boys that came out like 2 different times. People weren't really that upset with it, and they actually liked the Warzone LTMs that they had and the operators that they brought into the game. Those are crossovers that people were happy with. But the stuff where it starts getting into cel-shaded, cartoony, that's where people start drawing the line and they're not fans of. And that is an update that they've actually started already in Black Ops 6 and will continue in BO7. And just to give you guys an example, if you take a look at this Tracer Pack Flightless bundle, the operator looks more tactical, but this bundle originally was supposed to be a penguin. We actually got images of it from COD Warfare, but he had to take down the photos. He was asked, I believe, by Treyarch devs to take those images down, but it was initially supposed to be a penguin. It was like one of those ultra skin penguin skins, but then I guess last second, because of all the feedback, they ended up removing and replacing it and adding this Milsim related operator. I'm pretty sure if you look it up, you'll probably find the image. That's one of the things that they ended up changing and updating, and who knows, even the event pass that we currently have right now, which is with Nuketown, was probably meant to be a crossover, but they decided to swap it out and change it because they felt that maybe it was too unrealistic. You'll notice in Season 5, we haven't had as much crossovers as we've had in the previous life cycle of the update. So like every Reloaded update would usually include a big name crossover, and in Season 5 Reloaded, we didn't get any of that. So whatever the crossover that was planned in Season 5 Reloaded was, they felt that maybe it was something that would cause backlash and be a little too unrealistic, and then they didn't drop it. Now, Season 6, that's usually an exception. Haunting crossovers are always fan favorites, and they're usually a little more realistic because they're coming in from like movies and things like that, so there's never really cel-shaded stuff, and I feel like those, it's probably fine for them to keep, and they're probably going to keep those. Now, what are your thoughts and opinions on them doing these massive operator updates? Would you have preferred cel-shaded operators being available in the game? Would you have liked to see a Family Guy crossover or a Simpsons crossover or something like that, or do you want them to keep it grounded and bring more tactical things like Terminator or Halo to the game? But that is all that I got for you guys in this video. Thank you for tuning in. We have a lot of news to go over this week, so if you aren't subscribed, hit that sub button. But thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I'll be seeing you guys back on the channel again. Peace.